I'm the best. I'm the computer man. I'm the Macintosh man with the virus scan.
Hey, everybody.
Some
Look at
Photoshop
this.
filters and after dark. Get your Microsoft Office, express your quark. Millions of colors with a VRAM chip. How about a system crash that'll make you flip? I'm the computer man. I'm saying Windows 95 is plug and pray. If it's fonts you want, you gotta go to Macway. Log right on as my personal guest. You'll have Macintosh software on your desk. Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best. I'm the computer man.
Good evening, K-Squid listeners. Good evening, Santa Cruz, Central Coast, Monterey, and beyond. My name is Luigi Opito, owner-operator of Pleasure Point Computers right by the beach here in beautiful Santa Cruz, California. And for the next hour, I'm your tour guide into a world of wonder, magic, information, and, of course, supreme frustration. I closed the window. Look at that. Talking about frustration, I closed the window, everybody. Even the computer man does things like clicking buttons that I shouldn't be clicking on. We maybe the library up there to launch that because I click close and think instead of stop. Ah, there we go. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to the ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your local radio station, your local KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid. Also KSQD Prunetail, but 89.5, 89.7, and 90.7 FM. And also at ksqd.org, broadcasting live. Isn't it the mini array right there? That's not the one we want?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so moving on, everybody. So hello, welcome to your station. Welcome to everybody here on KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid, 90.7 FM, and ksqd.org. We are here for you tonight, and this is the Computer Man Show. I'm so stoked to be here with you tonight. We have a little station thing that I actually hit the close button on, and I wasn't sure how to do that. I've done 265 shows here, and I've never hit the close button. I was supposed to hit stop, and I hit close by accident. My bad. So everyone has computer issues, right? And so we're here tonight. I have a ton of stuff. We got scams going on tonight. We've got email questions. I've got new things going on with the Mac world, newer things going on out in the world of Apple, also with Windows, and also talking about some other things. People had some questions about smart monitoring, and I'm 17 pages of email questions, tons of things going on. So let's get jumped in it right now, and let's get started. Of course, if you are jumping on to our amazing website, ksqd.org, you can jump on right now and check out any of our amazing shows, including anything from the last 2 weeks in our 2-week audio archive. Click on the listening tab, and then after that, you'll click on the audio archive and have that drop down, and you'll be able to see any of our shows, including our music shows, our talk shows, anything from the Computer Man on. And while you're there, of course, hit the donate button. We love that donate button. We love to know that what's coming in, and also helps us be on the air because we are completely beholden to you. No one else but you. And we are stoked to be doing it. So real quick, before we get started on this entire 3-hour packet that I have that we're going to squeeze into an hour, what is a Computer Man Show? We are updates, new devices, testimonials, scams, and most importantly, our call-ins. What is going on your bench? What is going on with your machine? What is going on with the stuff that you've spent all this money on that was supposed to work one way and now it's not working correctly? And why did it work last night and now it's not working today? That's what we're going to be talking about here. We're here every Tuesday night from 6 to 7 p.m. And, of course, you can get us a hold of me here at 831-900-5773 or online. We have the on-air at KSQD phone up. I'm going to fire that guy up right now and see what is going on. There's our email there. There we go. Wonderful. Super duper to have it. Awesome. Okay, great. And we are in. So, of course, our phone number here, 831-900-5773, or jump online to onair at ksqd.org, where you can just email us, and that'll go directly to me right here to the desk, and I'd love to help you out. First thing, before we're going to talk about it, there was a gentleman who emailed me last week, called at the end of the show. We were talking about some very specific stuff, nanotubules, etc. I have received your emails. I got a little stuck on some things, and I haven't done the research that I wanted to, so we're going to be pushing that back a week if that's okay. And I've got a lot of other stuff that I wanted to actually go on, and a lot of other things I want to talk about, and a lot of great stuff going on in the world, but of course we're going to talk about some scams, and that's not very fun at all. Scams are always the worst, but they're going on, and we want to make sure that you know about them, and that's why we're here. We're all about telling you about the scams and what's going on with the scams. So one of the first ones I want to talk about actually is one that I've seen a lot of, and it's just enough money to where it's like detrimental, and you'd make that phone call. You know, if you got the scam saying, hey, something is coming through for like, you know, $40, $50, something, that's a lot of money. And then it gets into 100 or 200, you're like, whoa, what's going on? Right now, there's a scam going around from Norton that's coming out that says basically your subscription with Norton was going to renew today for $399. And it kind of makes your insides pucker and kind of squeeze a little bit, and you go, whoa, and it's like, it's about to be, and it says, and is about to be, I'm sorry, it says, your subscription with Norton will renew today, and all these are like capitalized, it's really weird, and it's today is spelled Toady, Toady, which is great, and it says, and $399 is about to be debited from your account by today. Like the English on it is terrible. And then it says the debited amount will be reflected within the next 24 hours. In case any further clarifications or block the auto renewal service, please reach out to Customer Help Center. You can see how like jarring that was. That was not English. It's very weird. So it says also, if you didn't authorize this charge, you have 24 hours to cancel and get an instant refund of your annual subscription. Please contact our customer care at this phone number. And the phone number is kind of ridiculous. It's not a phone number that is... It's weird. So the whole thing's fake, and it comes from some random dude's Gmail address, like bobbyshaw@gmail.com or something. You're like, poor Bobby Shaw got his email address totally screwed with, and because he got his email address totally screwed with, now he's sending out emails to everybody. And it's also going out, from Norton. So he basically had a hack on his email, and it was hijacked, and then they got onto his email and used his email address to send out all these other things, either to other contacts or to other people. It's just ugly, and it's this one's actually pretty well done. It looks pretty nice. It comes from FTUJTUJ, which is absolute nonsense. And then it says materials, and then the numbers also as well. And so it's just one of those things that you see it, and you almost, if you weren't paying attention, you go, oh my gosh, this is really important, and then you'd realize that it's totally fake after you've already called them and everything. So then at that point, they've got your email address, they've got your name, they've got a couple pieces of you that are kind of detriment. Or it's not detriment. It's a you've called them back. So not only do they have your email address, they have your phone number now because you called them with caller ID. They'll have your phone number. So it's I don't know. It's frustrating because this one actually looks legit. So just take that minute. All of it can always be solved. It's always almost the same answer. If you get an email like this one says, from FTUJTUJ, and Norton is a multi-million-dollar company. They are going to have enough money to name their email address what it's supposed to be named, right? It would be coming from Norton, right? From like something at sales@norton.com, right? That sounds like a normal email address you would be receiving something like this from. But it's not. It's from Fujujujujuju. And you're like, who is Fujujujujuju? And so just those type of things, right? And then if you click on it, you see the emails coming from bobbyshaw65@gmail.com. You go, okay, this is not real. Don't call the number. Don't. And if you really are curious, go to your Norton subscription and sign in, and then look to see if you have a charge. I'm sorry, you don't have a Norton subscription? I'm sorry, you don't have a Norton login? That's because this is fake. Right? So you see how that goes? Okay. So that's just another way just to follow it along, make sure it's good. Okay, the other one I want to talk about, this was actually from Reddit. I saw this one, but it is one that I've seen floating around, and I want to make sure that people know about it. And it's just one of those gift card ones where it's not that you go and get a gift card, or it's an email saying, hey, if you do this, you get a gift card, or dear valued customer, thank you for purchasing our Man Toys on Amazon. What is Man Toys? Anyway, it's in a different font. And we hope the product is working for you well. Congratulations. You are chosen as the lucky customer to have a $20 Amazon gift card by sharing your shopping experience. You can use the gift card on Amazon to pay for what you buy. Yeah. Go to Amazon My Orders page and find the mail toy, or scan the QR code. And there's this QR code that's on the page. It says, write a review with 5 stars and take a screenshot of the review once posted. Please send your order ID and review screenshot to this email address, and you'll get an e-card from the business from 2 to 3 days. So, and it's yours sincerely, customer after sales team. So what this probably does is you go to the QR code and it loads up a fake Amazon page and then has you log in. And then when you log in, you use your username, your email address, and your password. And you're typing this into the page, but it's not a real Amazon page. And this one actually has a QR code, so that's like kind of next level. It's very easy to get a QR code, but I don't see a lot of scams with that, so it's kind of newer to have a QR code. And So we go along, we hit the QR code, it loads up a fake Amazon page, you put in your email address, you put in your password that works on Amazon, and then it'll give you a page that goes, that you have the wrong password. And so you go, okay, so you type it in again, and it says that's the wrong password, please try a different password or something. It'll say something like that to prompt you to go, maybe that isn't my Amazon password, maybe it's something else. And so then you start typing in other passwords, so like the other passwords that you use, and you put in 2 or 3 or 4, and you're just handing them all this information, right? And now all of a sudden they have all these logins, granted same email address, but different passwords that you use, and then they can go backwards and really screw with you. So it looks legit. It looks like a normal thing. If this is something is this like I don't know if this is like an adult thing? I'm not really sure what this is. There's a photo of something. It looks like It looks like a lump. I don't know. Anyway. So with that, there could be anything coming from Amazon, but it's the QR code. And again, if you can just if you use a QR code on your phone, jump on your phone, you open up the camera app. As soon as you open up the camera app, it'll give you that email, that listing of where the actual website goes. And with your phone, if you have an iPhone, it's kind of more safe because the iPhone's so embedded, there's not root access control. You can go to more risque websites on an iPhone than you can with like a desktop computer. You won't get as stuck in a loop if you do that. So I would have opened this with my phone and seen at the very bottom and seen what that label goes to, and see if it goes to Amazon.com or if it goes to something like WAmazon.com or something weird like that. And then they have you type in all your stuff, which you're just handing your stuff over to the people. So it's a little interesting thing, but at the same time, this is a really well done scam, and it looks very nice and it looks legit. It has all the right fonts and everything, but it doesn't say to just go to Amazon. It says to actually sign this QR code and do this stuff. So you're using the QR code. It's very weird. Okay, let's see. Is there any other ones I want to talk about for today? I kind of want to get into the articles and then get into we have so many email questions. I want to get through a lot of those. Okay, this is one that was like the personal data. Yeah, so that was an out-of-state one. We don't have to talk about that. Okay, so let's get out of that. Let's get into some of the meat and potatoes of what we got in the show tonight. There was a pin code printout that just came out. I saw this. So right now there is someone made a guide to show the most to least common 4-digit PIN numbers. And it was 3.4 million analyzed PIN numbers from multiple data breaches. So, they had these random PIN numbers. And then also I saw this thing that said that there was an internet joke, and said the headline was like, all credit card PIN numbers in the world have been leaked. And the body of the message said 0000. The next one said 00001. The next one said 0002. The next one said 0003, 4, 5, 6, and just went on all the way up until it counted to 10,000. And right? Funny. So, but this is kind of interesting. There is a very high level of people using the same two pairs of numbers that go out together. So if you have the two pairs either in the middle or at the end or at the beginning, and then it showed some of the other sections for these PIN numbers. And there's a whole bar right here that uses 19XX as for like your birth date, and using their birth date in the month or date. The month, date, or date, month format. And there's a whole block, and you can see the colors and stuff. It's like this little like pixelated graph. But it's interesting because there's a lot up here that have like in the 9.5s and stuff, like the 9.555s, and they're 9.560s are basically nothing. There's some in like the 50. So depending on what your 4-digit PIN is, if you have a 4-digit PIN, it seems like there's a lot of them here that 4321 was huge, 1234 was huge, 1701 for some reason was gigantic. I don't know if that's a bunch of Star Trek fans out there or something, but there's so it's interesting. And then there's this whole website on it's datagenics.com, and it's all about the different PIN code setups that people have been using, and it's all taken from breaches, which is really interesting because that is what's live right now. The breaches are one of the best ways, used as a scientific method to look and see what people are doing and how they're doing it and what their dispersion of codes are, because you're not going to be able to get 3.4 million people to just tell you what their PIN code number is, right? That's not going to happen. So go to the breach, find out what it is. Interesting. Today, also, Apple released iOS 17.5 and iPad OS 17.5. Major updates to iOS 17 and and the iPad OS 17 operating system that came out last September. 17.5 updates come with more than 2 months after the launch of 17.4 and iPad 17.4. That was a big one when they started doing, it was that lock code thing where, the Face ID thing where you couldn't reset your Face ID after an hour because people would go up to you in the bar and they try to get you to put in your stuff and they would lock you out of your phone within seconds. If you're not home and you have that enabled, it would take up to an hour for you to reset your phone and Face ID. Like there's an hour delay. So that way, if somebody steals your phone, they can't just do it right away, right in front of you, and then walk away with your phone. But 17.5 can be downloaded on eligible iPhones and iPads over the air by going to Settings, General Software Update. And then I guess in the European Union, it's bringing support for web-based app distribution, which is interesting. Web-based app distribution. You hear that? That is a pre-18 thing. That means that you can go on a website and download an app for your iPhone. We don't do that now. We go to the App Store, right? You've never downloaded an app from a website and loaded it on your iPhone. That's insane. That doesn't happen. It's one of the reasons why Apples are so locked down. But European Union is changing a lot of that stuff, and it's kind of trickling down to us. So it says iPhone users can download apps directly from developer websites without the need to use the App Store. And that was the whole thing they were getting around because they wanted people to go to, Google Play apps to be able to work on the iPhone, that kind of stuff. And nothing really has been, there might be some apps that are out there that are already doing that. I haven't heard a lot about them, but I guess we're also not in the European Union, so it doesn't really apply to us. But there's some pretty neat things going on out there, and it's the option too. Right now in my computer bag that I'm pointing at on the radio, I have 3 cell phones in there, not including the cell phone I use every day. It has 3 separate cell phones. Why do I have 3 separate cell phones? Because those 3 separate cell phones have different types of antennas in them, and I can use different types of Android apps on those 3 different cell phones to do different types of scans when I'm on people's properties, or if I'm doing signal strength testing, or if I'm just searching for weird Bluetooth signals, or I'm looking for skimmers or hidden cameras, or whatever I'm doing. They have different antennas in them. There are some of those antennas in my iPhone, but the applications don't exist. So I have to carry around 3 phones, 4 phones when I'm out and about, right? And that sucks. Just to say in general, it kind of sucks. I would rather not do that. But at the same time, I also have benefited from the lockdown that iPhones have, because the iPhone is so locked down that I don't get myself in a lot of trouble. I can check weird scam emails that people send me. I can check things on my iPhone and not worry about something taking it over and getting that root access control. Now, Android, you're a little more susceptible to that. It's still pretty locked down, but at the same time, you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble. So 17.5, kind of cool for the European Union. Not really sure what 17.5 has for the United States, but it's out and it exists. Congratulations. But let's see. Do I have it right now? Checking for updates. Yep, there it is. 17.5, it introduces new Pride Radiance wallpaper for the light lock screen. That's cool. Apple News enhancements and other features, bug fixes, and security updates for your phone. And not all features may be available for all regions, which is kind of like what we're talking about for the European Union. So there you go. Okay, so before we get to some of the other articles, also I found this thing, and again, I saw this online. It said in 2005, and I remember when they used to do this. Do you remember buying a CD back in the day, like in the early 2000s, and it would have like the first track or the last track was some software that you could put in your computer, and it would play, it would do things. And granted, back in the day, what it used to be was you'd have like a PlayStation 1 disc. The first track was the data, and then tracks 2 through 19 or whatever were the music for the game. So you could be playing a game, and it would have like a real song on it. It would have, like The Offspring or something like that playing a song, and you're like, whoa, I'm playing a video game. It has real music in it. And this is how old I am. So that was really cool. So back in the day, Sony would actually create CDs, and like a lot, like I remember if you could get like there's some CD that had a bright orange cover, and you put it in your computer, and it had those wallpapers for your computer, so you could like get the wallpaper for the band on your computer or something like that. But in 2005, Sony sold music CDs that installed hidden software without notifying the users. That's a rootkit, son. That's a virus, right? We didn't know what that was at the time, but that's what that is. And it says that when this was made public, Sony released an uninstaller, but it forced customers to provide an email address to be used for marketing purposes. You couldn't use the uninstaller without that. And so the uninstaller itself exposed users to arbitrary code execution. And then Sony also infringed on copyright by failing to adhere to the licensing requirements of the various pieces of free and open source software that was used in that program that made that rootkit. Like, awesome, Sony. Good job. Including VLC Media Player, one of my favorites. VLC Media Player is amazing. That's that orange cone. If you've ever done business with me, you've gotten VLC Media Player, and you're welcome. It's a great piece of software. It works great. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and none of the fluff, none of the garbage. And that dude in Sweden, I think is what it is. I think he created it. He wears that like cone on his head, and he could have sold it for millions of dollars many times over, and never has. So thank you, Mr. VLC. I don't know what your name is. It's like Icelandic or something. I don't know where it is. But appreciate you for your software. Very good. But the rootkit software was meant to stop copyright infringement, and it itself was infringing. So that's fun. So if you have any Sony CDs from 2005 or so, they might have that software on them. And it was all about loading the software that would load onto your computer to play either in a special player that looked like the band, or to play, a music video that was loaded on the CD because the band didn't have enough content to actually fill up a CD or something. It was something like that. But 2005, we think the Wild West is right now, man. Back 2005, that was some Wild West. Yeah. Also, had a question from somebody real quick about smart status stuff. We're going to get to that in just a minute, what the smart status is, why we use that in the computer industry, etc. But first, let's talk about some of this other stuff that I had brought in. I wanted to actually, there is a couple things, kind of more Apple-based again. We're going to get into some PC stuff because there's PC problems. But Apple evidently just inked a deal with Samsung to supply displays, because Samsung makes, I don't know if they do it now, but they used to make most of the displays for iPhones. But Apple just reportedly inked this deal with Samsung to supply displays for its foldable devices. What? An Apple foldable device? Is that going to suck? Is that going to be really cool? I mean, if Apple's doing it, usually it will work, basically. I mean, they made the Vision Pro, but that's also innovating, right? So it said there's a patent out that Apple might be aggressively working on its new foldable device. Reportedly a foldable iPhone. That would be awesome, because I'm carrying around this brick, and someone brought in an old phone to get photos off of. It was like an old Samsung, from AT&T, and I used to have that phone. They brought it in, and I swear the thing was the size, like it fit in my palm, not touching my fingers, in my palm, and didn't touch my wrist. It slid open, and stuff. And granted, texting on it sucked, but you were barely texting at that point. It was it was a phone, and it could take some photos with a 1.3 megapixel camera, and that thing was small, and it was tiny, and it fit in your pocket, and it's great. And foldable sounds cool. And with an iPhone, okay, let's see. This is going to be $3,000. But anyway, it says the report suggested a novel hinge design for the foldable iPhone, and the phone would also rock a clamshell design similar to the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip series. That's kind of a tongue twister. DigiTimes Asia claims that the input about Apple inking a deal with Samsung Display for the foldable devices comes from a supply chain, citing industry experts. Interesting. Also, the other side of the story that could be Apple may have signed a foldable display deal with Samsung for a device which, according to a report, could be a 20.3-inch foldable device. 20.3 inches is huge. Like a foot is big, right? And this is corner to corner. Whenever they do inches for displays, it's always corner to corner. So 20 inches. The monitor that's in front of me right now is like maybe a 17-inch, maybe a 19-inch at that. 20 inches. That's a lot. And it would fold. Would it fold into 10 inches? I mean, why fold something that's 20 inches? Of course, a 20.3-inch device can't be for an iPhone, but maybe a new foldable MacBook or some type of new segment device. How cool would it be to have okay, if you had an iPad that folded into like an L shape and you had the keyboard, you could type on the keyboard, but it was like a touchscreen keyboard, which kind of sucks. I mean, we've all messed with touchscreens for quite a while now, and they're not great. Maybe there's some new thing that they're going to try. Who knows? Sounds kind of cool. But there will be some reports claiming that Apple's working on not one, but two foldable devices, citing a source with direct knowledge of the situation, and speculated that Apple has shifted some of its resources from its Vision Pro headset department to help develop the foldable device. I don't blame them. The Vision Pro, I've seen people with the Vision Pro, and granted, it's a billion or $1 trillion company, and yeah, let them screw around. Let them make some weird stuff. That's cool. That Vision Display thing, that does not look cheap. I mean, obviously it's not cheap to purchase, but I mean, like to manufacture and to like create and to engineer and there are things that they made for that will be used later for something else. Granted, yeah, the Vision Pro is ridiculous. It looks like you're going snowboarding or skiing in the middle of BART or something. I mean, it's weird. And yeah, it's a flex, but it's I'd like to try one, but I wouldn't want to wear one, I don't think. And that's like the first iteration, right? So more things are going to come out and it'll be better later on. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Cool. I think we might actually have a phone call coming in. Let's see if we can get to that before we get to our break. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Hello. You're on with the computer man. How can I help you?
Yes. Hi, Luigi.
Hi.
Listen, I have a question about the new, or the newest, I should say, the most recent OS operating system for the Mac.
Okay.
And
That's Sonoma, I believe, right?
Sonoma, yes. Before I ask you about it, may I take a couple minutes to tell you about a very creative solution I found out about when you have these scammers like the one you described earlier.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so picture this scenario. There's an old black woman who lives alone who is computer illiterate. So much so she had to have one of her children set up her computer and some of her software for her. So she's on the computer, and all of a sudden the screen freezes.
Okay.
So she sees a message on the screen, yada, 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 you have, to call this number.
Right.
So she calls the number, and it's a big center, high-tech, it's a big scam operation. And there's a guy who's like the team leader, and there's a bunch of his cronies in the room, and he's doing this like, now let me show you how it's done, and they're all cheering him on, and the guy profusely apologizes for her having to do this, and talks her through it, and then says, for your trouble, we'd like to send you a $50 gift certificate, but we're going to need your bank account number.
Ugh.
So she doesn't know what's going on, so she gives him, she's a little bit hesitant, but she gives him the bank account number. Now, she happens to be a person who manages a charity for children.
Okay.
And there's like over $100,000 in the account. Well, she finds out it's cleaned out.
Oh my gosh.
And she's so distraught she commits suicide.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
That's the scenario. Okay. This is the scenario that I saw in a movie that has a very creative solution. It's called The Beekeeper. Now, The Beekeeper is the guy who is an off-the-books black ops operator.
Okay. Like where this is
going.
going.
He lives on
Okay.
the property keeping bees, and he likes her very much. And when he finds out what's happened to her, he decided to do this creative solution. And the next thing you know, you see him walking up to this big facility where they're housed, and he's got two 5-gallon cans of gas.
Okay.
He tells the two security guards in a matter-of-fact and calm way that he's there to burn the place to the ground.
Okay.
They tell him to get lost. He promptly, kicks their butt and walks in. He goes up to the floor where the main, scam is going on, and he tells the team leader, again, very calmly in a matter-of-factory, if he wants to not get burned alive, he better skedaddle. And that's what he does. He burns the place to the ground.
Awesome.
I thought that was a very creative solution.
That is a very creative solution. That does get rid of that scam center. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Anyway, seriously, to my question. I can't update my iMac because it's too old to the new Sonoma.
Okay.
They told me. But I can't update my MacBook Air.
Okay.
And you say you need to wait a while before you update to a new operating system. I think the Sonoma's been out for a while. Should I update to the Sonoma?
I think the Sonoma would be fine. I would ask actually when. So Sonoma came out in September of last year. What are you on the operating system right before Sonoma?
Yes.
Okay, so you are not missing out on much of anything, and most likely if for some reason the next operating system comes out and you want to jump to that and you completely skip Sonoma, you most likely can. There's the big thing was back in 10.15 going to 11.1. There was this thing called APFS, which got loaded onto everything. Actually, I think APFS got loaded onto like 10.13 or something, but then it really solidified itself into 11.1. And then people had a problem; they couldn't get from one operating system into the next because there was that huge jump. And so, yes, I would think right now with Sonoma, it's stable enough and it's decent enough, and it's not much of a change. You could if you wanted to, but at the same time, also you are still on a supported operating system that works fine. And if you're not missing anything, not really a big deal. But if you'd like to update, I would say yes, you can.
Should I be concerned that my iMac is going to be not able to be updated to a new operating system? Is down the line? What kind of problems am I going to run into?
So when that happens, as soon as you hit the wall, as soon as you hit that last operating system, so like let's say Sonoma is the last one, that's it. You update everything to Sonoma, you're here in Sonoma, here we are. And then the new one comes out in September of this year. So okay, that starts the 3-year timer basically. They give you 3 iterations of the operating system before you're technically completely out of date. So if you got Sonoma and that's the last thing and that you can't go any further, they would have, the next operating system, and then the one after that. As soon as you're on that third one, you're on your last legs. And then theoretically, what's going to happen is after that, you are going to see some weirdness when you start loading web pages. You'll go to a web page and it's like, hey, I need your security certificate. You're like, okay, why don't you have it? My date and time is correct, and I'm on my computer and I'm online and I'm with the operating system. What's going on? It's like, and that's because Apple's not supplying those anymore to that operating system 3 years past. So it's kind of like as soon as you hit that wall, you have a 3-year timer, as far as I've seen, unless they could change things in the next couple of years. But that's how the planned obsolescence has been working for these operating systems. You're losing, but then again, you go, oh, okay, well, I'll just go get Firefox. Firefox makes their own security certificates and everything. And so you're good.
Okay.
And then you can continue on. And Google Chrome will have like a yellow bar at the top saying, hey, we can't do all the security fixes. So you might stumble across a website that it might not protect you properly, but then you also have ad block. So the ad block most likely will protect you from that website before anything loads. On the meta side, that then the updated operating system and updated browser would then take care of for you. So you're like, well, so do I need to update my operating system? We're like, well, yeah, you kind of do. There's probably going to be a program that might stop, or it might not, or you might not see anything. I go to people's homes sometimes and they're running 10, 12. I'm like, dude, you're like 9 operating systems back, and they're like, yeah, I haven't really noticed anything. I run Firefox and blah, blah, blah. And they haven't gone to some higher level website that needs some type of higher level security certificate to sign in. So they're cooking along, they're typing papers and they're doing whatever they're doing, and the operating system's way out of date. And other people, they're one operating system back and they're like, dude, my software isn't loading because it's some really, really, really picky thing that needs the updated operating system for security or whatever, and everything needs to be talking and be updated. So it really depends on what you're doing, but for the most part, one update, not a bad not an issue.
Okay, well, I want to ask you, if you're running on any of your computers the new Sonoma for the Mac, and the reason I want to ask is that sometimes you have a problem with third-party software that is not yet compatible with the new operating system. Have you run into that if you're running Sonoma?
At this point, I have not. I am running Sonoma. I have not run into that issue. There is, and the legacy software is more like, like the latest version of Quicken, that they make a version every single year, or QuickBooks, or something that's really picky, like Adobe Creative Cloud or something like that need this very specific thing that came out last month. And do you have the update? Man, you should have updated 2 weeks ago. And you're like, I should update 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks ago? What? Okay, I was gone. What happened 2 weeks ago? Some of those programs are really picky. Others are not, and most aren't. And I have not seen really any with Sonoma. So like right now on the operating system you're on, everything is supported by the operating system that you're on. What's the name of the one that's before Sonoma? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think it's Monterey.
Monterey. Okay, that is Monterey. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Monterey's great. It works really well. Sonoma with Monterey, and I think in Ventura, which is the one before Monterey, so Ventura might have been actually the last one. I'm not really sure. I don't have the list in front of me. But there was one that they changed the system preferences, and that was the thing that kind of chapped me a little bit. I was like, the system preferences are where people who know kind of what they're doing would go to change things on their computer, and then to change that entire menu all over the place. When I go to someone's home and I sit down in front of it, I have to kind of fumble through it a little bit because it's completely different. It makes me feel like the fool. And, they shouldn't move things around like that. That was my pitchfork to the castle type thing, where I was like, why do they move all this stuff around for people who a lot of times don't even go into that section And now they've reorganized everything where I can't find anything to make the changes on the computer that I want. So it's
Right.
that was my own personal issue. But right now, yeah,
Right.
I'd say Sonoma's good. It's solid. And usually I find that the operating systems that come out in September, by about February, they've gotten most of the bugs out, most of them. And right now, April, May should be solid.
Well, I was wrong. You were right. It's not Monterey. The last one before the Sonoma is the Ventura. That's what I'm running on my iMac right now.
Okay,
the
awesome.
Ventura.
Yeah, so that has
Yeah.
that weird system preferences page where you open up Apple system preferences and it doesn't go to that square.
Yeah.
It goes to that it's a square, but there's a row on the left-hand side of all that stuff, and you're like, and they moved everything all over the place, and I'm Mr. Curmudgeon. I'm not a fan, but I'm learning it. But it's just, man. It's just, I have to go 5 or 6 pages deep to go to something where I only had to go 2 pages deep, and it's just clicking wasted time or something. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what I'm complaining about, to be honest. but that's what I felt. But yeah, the new one's just fine.
Yeah. Is there any difference in this? What they're that little app, the Stage Manager? Is there any difference between the Ventura and the Sonoma?
Not that I know, but you could go online and actually see the stage. You could actually do a Google search for that individual app and release updates, and it will give you a list of every single version of what they've changed since maybe the version that they came out with the older operating system and the new one that came out with Sonoma. And they would tell you that the version changes, and it can be something that you might see and go like, "Oh, those are great. I need those features," or you'd be like, "Nothing I'm using there. There's nothing that came out that's going to change." But they should have release notes. They're called release notes, I believe, still, where it would let you know what each release has on each release.
Well, thank you, Luigi, for giving me so much time and answering all my questions. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Looking forward to next time. All right. Have a great rest of your night. That leaves the phone lines open for you here at 831-900-5773. After we go to a quick break, we have a couple of our amazing underwriters, and we will be right back after a moment for hearing from them. Stand by, and we'll be back with the Computer Man Show here on KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM, and KSQD.org, as well as KSQT Prunedale and 89.5, 89.7, and 90.7 FM. We will be right back.
Support for KSQD comes from the Monterey Bay Air Resources District. The Wood Stove Changeout Program now offers higher incentives for Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito County residents to switch to cleaner home heating alternatives. Details at MontereyBayCleanAir.org. That's MontereyBayCleanAir.org. Thank you, MBARD, for supporting Community Radio K-Squid.
Hi, it's Dr. Dawn Mutika of Ask Dr. Dawn here on KSQD. We're going to be making a change, and I want to be sure we keep you up to date. You may have seen newspaper articles describing the new family medicine residency program in Santa Cruz. I'm very proud to be designated faculty in this program. So, due to those obligations, I need to transfer my time slot on Ask Dr. Dawn to Thursday, 6 p.m., starting on May 16th. I sincerely hope that you will be able to follow me to the new time slot and continue to be a loyal listener to Ask Dr. Dawn.
My name is Luigi Opido, owner-operator of Pleasure Point Computers and the host of the Computer Man Show, a 1-hour call-in show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Viruses, slowdowns, scams, and updates. Computers can be a pain, and I'll help you through it.
Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best. I'm the computer.
If it has an on switch, we'll probably talk about it on the Computer Man Show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. only on KSQD 90.7 FM Santa Cruz.
Get into a computer.
Hi, I'm Bobby Bishop, host of Be in the Night, bringing you the best I can with jazz, love songs, and soul. Join me on Tuesday evenings from 7 to 10 p.m., playing the classics straight ahead and introducing you to the latest artists and composers. That's Tuesday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. right here on listener-supported KSQD 90.7 FM, Santa Cruz.
Gotta love some jazz, and no better place to have it than KSQD. And coming up at 7 o'clock, Be in the Night, with that amazing jazz to let all this computer stuff ooze out of your brains, because no one wants to hold on to this stuff all the time. You can hold on to it during the show. That's great. But as soon as the show's over, let it go. Let it go, man. All right, so welcome back to the Computer Man Show here on KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM and KSQD.org, broadcasting live always online. So real quick, I found a couple things. One of the things I want to talk about before we get into the email questions for the next 17 minutes. I was talking with my buddy, and he's like, hey, why doesn't Apple make a touchscreen? You know, everyone's making touchscreens now. You have touchscreens and Dell. You have, everyone, Acer, Asus, all the many manufacturers, Lenovo, all these companies make touchscreen computers. You can get one that doesn't have a touchscreen, like my ThinkPad doesn't have a touchscreen because I didn't want to pay for it. But a lot of machines, that's what you get. You get a touchscreen, and you might not even know you have a touchscreen or not. But why does Apple not? Why does Apple exclusively not make a touchscreen? So this guy, Tom Boger, explained, because someone asked that, that basically said that that the iPad compares to the Mac, and asked, they basically asked him why is there an iPad, why is there a non-touchscreen Mac, and he said that this guy who's Apple's vice president of Mac and iPad product marketing explained to her name was Joanna Stern, that Apple doesn't see the two devices as competitors. Instead, the idea is that the Mac and the iPad are complementary. The iPad serves as a touch-first device, while the Mac is for indirect manipulation. And say, quote, we don't see them as competitive devices, we see them as complementary devices. So the iPad has always been a touch-first device, while the indirect manipulation using a keyboard, mouse, and trackpad. And said, will Apple ever release a touchscreen Mac? And he said, nope, iPads are for touch, Macs are not. Mac OS is a very different paradigm of computing. He said many customers have both types of devices and think the iPad is a way to extend work from the Mac. And then, I've always felt that too. And I've always said that. An iPad is not a MacBook. An iPhone is not a MacBook. But also, I've heard that it's a very millennial thing, because I'm born in 1980, or I'm a Zennial or whatever it's called, big purchases. If you do a big purchase, you can't do it on your phone. You have to do it on a MacBook or on a laptop. You have to do it on a big screen. And that's something that's, I guess, that newer generations are just doing things on their phone. They're making big purchases on their cell phones, opposed to needing to do that on a laptop. And I like doing it on the laptop because I can see the screen. I have a lot more options on the website. I can see more things going on. And I feel like I miss stuff sometimes because of the translation of the website going to my phone to a mobile site, sometimes misses things that I would otherwise see on a laptop. That also might be because I'm starting to get old or something like that. Who knows? But then also we just heard about this other thing about how, what was that from? This Samsung thing with foldable devices, with some 20.3 inch foldable device. So they're gonna make some big giant foldable iPad. I don't know, maybe, but they say that this is two separate things. And of course, why would they want to merge anything or take away or combine them? Because then you're buying more stuff, and that's good, right? Okay, let's get into the email questions. Let's get into them. Okay. All right. So this is a conglomerate of a lot of questions. I've got, let's see, it is over 10 pages. Yeah, it's like 15 pages of email questions. Crazy. Okay, so we're going to get into a lot of these. Of course, if you have an email question, Luigi, Luigi, at ksqd.org. Again, I'll try to write you back as soon as I can. We'll talk and stuff, and then if the question's, something that we can talk about on the air, I'll totally talk about it. But you email me, and we won't wait till air to answer it. I just like to talk about them when we're on the air, because a lot of them are really interesting. So, okay, is it possible for a gaming computer running 24/7 to cost hundreds extra in electricity? So I have a 10th gen i9, which is one of the fancier Intel-based processors, RTX 3090, which is a pretty heavy graphics card, but nothing crazy. And I've just been leaving up certain tasks to run for me. I'd imagine they are slightly intensive because the room gets warm. Interesting. The room gets warm from your computer. That's interesting. People make claims like a gaming computer will only add $20 to $30 to your electric bill with 24/7 use, and this is costing me an extra $200 on my bill. What's up with this? Would there be something else kicking up my electric bill in the house if it's not for this? Dude, if you're running super intensive stuff on your machine and it is sucking electricity, maybe. The only way to really know is to get one of those. They have those plug-in intermediary devices called a kilowatt, KILLWATT. AWATT, and it's a box that you plug into the wall that has a plug on it. So you then plug in your device, like your computer or your fan or whatever you're using, and then it will then tell and log how much electricity that device is using. So like right now in Santa Cruz, theoretically, it's supposed to be 38 cents per kilowatt hour here, and that's I've heard it's a lot more in certain times or whatever, but it's supposed to be 38 cents per kilowatt. So it'd be interesting to see how many kilowatts of electricity your computer is using and then see if that's the main thing. Also, if you are really disciplined, you could also see when your bill cuts off and unplug your computer, like unplug the computer and use it somewhere else in another place at work, or I don't know, get a generator. I don't know. That's bad recommendation. I'm just saying, just unplug it for a month and see if that drops. I mean, $200 on a bill, that's a lot. But also, I know electricity's been going up, and I know also we've been getting kind of screwed from PG&E and stuff. So that could be also part of it, where before it didn't cost that much, but now the kilowatt hours are so expensive that it could be like it could be this. You're using the same amount of electricity, but it just costs more. I don't know. But get the kilowatt, and it'll let you know exactly if the machine is doing that, and then you can match that to your kilowatts per hour on your bill and see if your computer is actually using the amount of electricity that's causing this $200 extra. Yeah, interesting. Another question I got: is it no longer possible to remove a retail Windows 10 license from a computer? Said, I've been Googling this for a while. The answers are contradictory depending on who replies and when they reply. Say, I've got a retail Windows 10 home licensed purchased machine that I purchased 3 years ago, complete with a box, key, receipt, all that stuff. The PC with that license on it was linked to my Microsoft account. Okay, so that's online. Is there anything else with that? It says, displaying in Windows isn't activated with a digital license. Okay, cool. So I'd like to sell the PC, but keep the license in case I have use for it later. So I might be picking up a new machine that has an OS-free laptop later this year. I don't have an extra device to activate the license on yet. And so they said I tried to remove the PC from my Microsoft account, couldn't do that. Tried formatting the drive, reinstalling Windows 10, and creating an offline account, and didn't log into my Microsoft account. That didn't work. No matter what I do, all I do and the PC's future buyer need to do afterwards is just to run the troubleshoot wizard, and then Windows is activated again. Do I understand correctly that unless I have an extra device at hand to activate that license on, it will stay tied to the old PC? Great question. So the hardware ID is actually stored on Microsoft's activation servers. So as soon as Windows sends the hardware ID to be activated, it just rocks it back, and they match that hardware ID to the one stored on the machine, see it's already activated, and return the activated result. So there's no activating because it's already activated. So there's no removing the license from the old computer, theoretically. It used to actually be stored in a chip on the BIOS, and that is, and some still do some type of activation like that. Where you could then read the hardware key from that chipset, and it would tell you the key. But that seems to have gone by the wayside as well. But since you have the retail license, you can move that license. But Microsoft actually has to do it. You don't do anything on the old computer. What happens when you get the new machine is you put the retail key on to activate the new computer, and then it will then activate it and link that with that machine. They're supposed to make the old hardware ID invalid, so it won't be activated anymore. And so if that doesn't happen, the old Windows stays activated as well. But again, if say like that old Windows machine was activated and then you put it on a bus and was just driving around a bus and never went online with Starlink or whatever and just stayed offline, theoretically that machine would think it's still activated and still online unless there's some timer that runs out that would then check the activation server and say, hey, I need to make sure I'm still activated or something. So yeah, it's only if Windows is reinstalled on the old computer that it won't reactivate. So kind of weird, but they used to, and I know there's this Win10 key program that you run on your computer, and it instantly just shows your keys, shows you your office key, and it's that 25-digit key that you get when you used to scratch off the back of the card. And there was also a Windows 10 key that you would pull from, I think it was in the BIOS. There was it wasn't a secure key. It was actually like some type of activation key that was stored in BIOS, and that's what Windows would then read. And if you got an old machine. But then if you got the old machine that when the machine died, I remember we would still be able to activate it if it had an online activation server through the Windows authentication servers. It's exhausting, right? It's just let me use the computer. I bought it, let me use it. But I understand capitalism, whatever. Okay, great. Okay, moving on. Work gave me one of their old computers. I'm going to wipe the hard drive, obviously, but is there anything else I should do to cover myself? My boss manager guy, whatever, cleaning out the office, the site's former manager. The office was the ex-manager's computer. Boss was originally going to throw it out as he had no use for it and no way to access it. I asked if I could take it, and they said, yeah, go ahead and take it. Already did some searching online, figured out how to wipe the drive with ex-manager's password. Okay, great. Is there anything else I should be doing to the computer before I turn it into my personal computer? So you took something from work, and you took something from the old boss, right? So if you're asking for a professional opinion, first thing you should do is you should get written confirmation that you're okay to take the computer. Someone's like, hey, boss, per the agreement that we set up before, I've taken the computer, and here's the model number, here is the hardware ID, here's the brand, etc. Then I would check the Windows license version, right? And then after you've checked the Windows license version with the install operating system, then you would do a clean install with that correct version. That way you still get the hardware ID that comes out of it. But if it's like some like small type of like Elite Desk models that's attached to like the base of a computer model, like one of the all-in-ones or something like that, you might have to take a little bit to get to the hard drive and everything. But if you factory reset it, theoretically, that should be enough. If there is a factory reset option, sometimes there are, sometimes there's not. I always download the latest version of Windows onto a flash drive, onto a new flash drive, and then I use that. I have all these like old versions of flash drives that all have old versions of Windows on them. So you could do that. But I'd really get written confirmation on that, just because you're asking. It's just cover your butt at that point, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's see what else. We got about 7 minutes left. Wow. Okay. Something is eating my RAM, and I don't know what it is. I've been having trouble getting various programs, games, and generally my whole PC has been stuttery and slow. Check out my task manager. It seems like my RAM usage is always at 90%. With just a few dozen Chrome tabs open, and even the total doesn't add up. Okay, PC works properly again after restarting it for some time, and then the problem then returns. They have 32 gigabytes of 6,000 megahertz DDR5, and it's a B650 Tomahawk board, which is very strong. That's a good architecture. 4090 processor, EVGA 1000. I mean, these machines that some people have are just incredible. And then, so then there was also a couple pictures that they sent as well. And so, the first thing that I saw was one of the photos of their task manager and their wallpaper engine that they were using. Wallpaper, right? The thing that like makes the picture on the back of your desktop. Their wallpaper engine was using 26% of the GPU. Now, I don't know if that was like a live wallpaper. I don't know if you ever saw live wallpapers. I think they came out in like Windows Vista? Live wallpapers were super cool. It was like a video that was your wallpaper that was playing. So like you had like a babbling brook or something, and like so your wallpaper was like animated with like water running. And like that's cool. That's really cool. But obviously took up system resources in order to just exist, right? So but 26% of a 4090, like what in the heck? That thing has to be mining or something. There has to be, because otherwise it's the most unoptimized wallpaper in the entire world, in the history of anything that ever existed. Also, I did a little bit of research on that and found that the task manager actually reports an incorrect usage of the wallpaper engine. So that was just a wrong number that was being reported. So, so went on and took a look, and the NVIDIA drivers basically were installing everything, including the NVIDIA experience, and the RAM map program that actually runs and actually shows you what different memory allocation tables are attached to. Had thousands of OAW wrapper instances and in them. So there was a recursive loop. There was something that was filling up the boxes and kept filling up the boxes and kept filling up the boxes. And there's something the piece of software that was basically rolling over on itself. And after doing some digging, it sounds like they found that piece of software, but it was literally just a piece of software that was booting up when the machine was booting up, trying to solve a problem and getting stuck into a recursive loop, stuck in the loop, keep filling, boom, 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 it just keeps filling up the RAM buffers. And that would make sense per the description. As the longer that you kept the machine on, the slower it would get, the more RAM that was eaten up. But wow, yeah, I saw that 26% of a GPU, 26% of a GPU using the wallpaper. Crazy. Okay, let's see. Actually, I want to make a mark there. We're not going to talk about this one. I'll save this guy for next time. But I wanted to talk about smart status. And there was actually one of these emails that might have been a little bit later, that talked about smart status. So we're just going to give me a minute here. We've only got another 3 minutes here in the show, and I want to make sure I got to this very last thing. If I can find it, I should have put a lemur. I didn't realize I had so many pages. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. Is 72% on a solid state drive health low? So 72% health. Obviously, health is at a 0% to 100%. Excuse me. So I went to a store to sell my 6-month-old used laptop. The person at the store made some tests, which I guess is normal, showed me that my solid-state drive's health is at 72% and needs a replacement, which will cost him around $90 and lower the price or that he wanted to give me of the laptop for the laptop service. This person refused, left the store. Don't know much about storage health. So was the person right, or did they just try to lower the price? Okay, so 72% isn't bad. When I looked at old hard drives and stuff, 72% is not great, but it's not bad. And that's based on what's called the smart status. And we're going to talk about the smart status. We'll probably talk about it next time. But the smart status is, that's not the right one. Smart status stands for the self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. And it's a monitoring system used and included in computer hard disk drives and solid-state drives to detect and report various indicators of drive reliability and with the intent of anticipating imminent hardware failures. It's basically to watch your drive and give you a health response and let you catch it before it fails completely and eats all your stuff. So this person said, so 72% isn't too bad. 6 months, though, if the machine is 6 months old, 72% is not good. That's either really impressive because you have used the heck out of that drive, or there's a sign that there's an issue with that drive. So my solid-state drive that I have in my machine, on one of my machines, it's like almost 7 years old, it just hit 80%. And I don't do a lot on the machine, but I do use it quite often. And so it'll probably be another 3 years before I hit 70%. And it's time to replace. Ooh, there's something in my throat. I'll make it to the next minute. Excuse me. So the smart status is a technical drive information base that keeps itself and keeps track of itself and its critical parameters. If something takes a long time to seek, then maybe it will drop its smart status score. Both mechanical drives and solid-state drives use it, and both SATA and SCSI SAS drives also use it. But most drives use it in different ways. Solid-state drives use it completely different than spinning hard drives use it, and different manufacturers may represent the data differently, even though the parameters are named the same or similar. So multiple utilities can get you this information. Crystal Disk Info. If you have a Mac, there's Drive DX. There's also a number of other pieces of software that you can use. I really like to look at the smart status of a drive that's not actually running. Crystal Disk Info, you have to run while the drive is running. On Drive DX, I actually pull it out and I use it as an external drive and I look at it externally. That way the machine's not using the drive while I'm trying to get the smart status out of it, but theoretically also the smart status is stored no matter if the drive's running or not. So or running the operating system or not. So Linux has SmartMon tools, but Smart is one of the first things that personally I look at on a machine when I'm looking at anything to see the health of a drive. When we have a machine come in and people say, oh, it's slow, or someone calls me, oh, my iMac's slow, my computer's slow, my PC's slow, first thing I do is look at the smart status and make sure that the hard drive is working properly. I've got a little tickle, something that's like a little, I haven't eaten anything, but something went in my throat. It's tickling me the heck out of me. Let me get some water after we're off here. But we have reached the end of another Computer Man show. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Let's see here. There we go, a little water for my whistle at the end. Missed your call tonight. You can always reach me by email, luigi@ksqd.org. Remember to tune in to the Computer Man Show Tuesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KSQD Santa Cruz, 90.7 FM, K-Squid, KSQD. I'd like to thank all my listeners and my callers. Thank you, KSQD, Sandy, Stone, Health, Fistine, Reggie, Given, David, Kerry, John Sanders, all of Santa Cruz, and Nicholas Hauser, the Wasp, Mr. Gacy, Torvald, and of course, the Humble Electron. Thank you again, Santa Cruz. I'm your Computer Man here on K-Squid, KSQD, 90.7 FM, and KSQD.org. Stay tuned right here for Be in the Night. I hope you all have a positively charged evening. Until next time.
I am the computer man. I can do anything